Hi, I'm Nick, Principal Engineer at TenthEgg Mastering, with the first of our music production tip video guides. This week we're looking at using the sidechain in dynamics processing and how you can use it to unlock new technical and creative possibilities when working with your audio. Before we get into the practical examples, it's probably best to look at exactly what a sidechain is. Put simply, it's an alternative audio source for your processor to react to. So if that processor is a gate, then it will open and close on your source material depending on when the audio in the sidechain goes above or below the threshold set. Typically, the sidechain audio will be the same as your source, but filtered or manipulated with an EQ to cause the processor to react differently than it otherwise would. So let's take a look at a couple of practical examples demonstrating why we might want to do this, and then look at how we can bend the rules for creative purpose. So in the first example, we've got a stereo kit sample with a very heavy kick drum. Now we want to keep this heavy kick sound, but just apply some compression to knit the sample together a bit more. Now, applying normal compression, we'd have to choose between compressing very lightly so the kick isn't over compressed, or compressing very heavily so we can compress the rest of the sample, but then over processing our kick. Now at this point you could reach for a multi-band compressor, place one band over the kick and the other over the rest of the frequency range. But the effect here is often to pull the sound apart rather than knit it together, because the different frequency bands will be moving in different directions. What we'd much rather is have a full band compressor, but one that's less reactive to the bass end of the spectrum, and this is what we can achieve with the sidechain. I'm going to demonstrate this in Logic, but the same principles apply whichever plugin or outboard processor you're using. So as we play the sample through, we can see that the compressor's only reacting to when the kick hits. We can move the threshold down so that the rest of the sample gets a touch of compression, but then we hear that the kick starts to sound overcompressed. By clicking the white arrow at the bottom left of the plugin, we reveal Logic's sidechain filter options. At the moment we can see that the sidechain filtering is switched off, but if we click this, we can first of all listen to the sidechain. Now at the moment this sounds identical to the original audio, but you can see under mode that we've got a high pass filter selected, and as we start to adjust the frequency, we start to cut off the bass end. So I'll use this pretty extreme setting to demonstrate the effect here. If we go back to activity and switch it to on, then we can see in our gain reduction that there's now no compression happening at all. Switch it to off and the compression kicks in again. This is because we've filtered so much out of our sidechain audio that it's no longer got the level to push the compressor into compression. So what I'm going to do now is dial down the frequency control to a more conservative setting where we can still hear a bit of kick sound, but the majority of what we hear is the rest of the sample. And what this should do is allow our kicks to pass through the compressor, process the same amount as the rest of the sample. So that sounds about right, and so I'll engage that and now bring down the threshold so that it's compressing just the right amount. And you can see if I switch the sidechain filter on and off, the level of compression on the kick changes quite dramatically. This application of the sidechain is one that's not just useful for individual elements, but also overall mixes, and is one that we quite often turn to in the mastering studio. For example number 2 here, we're going to move to gating and a creative application, but there are further examples in the article which this video accompanies. The setup here is a simple drum loop and held synth pad where we just want to go in instantly and make it sound more interesting. We're going to place the gate over the synth and engage the external sidechain input, selecting the drum loop as the input. This means instead of reacting to the source audio of the synth, the gate's going to open and close in time with the drum loop. Again, we can play with the filters to adjust exactly which bit of the sidechain audio the gate reacts to. This effect often combines well with a delay to build up an interesting synth pattern. And there you go, very little extra input from us, but a massively different end result. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching. We'll be back again covering another topic very soon.
This video was brought to you by TenthEgg Mastering. For more music production tips, visit www.tenthegg.co.uk/tips.